very excited to introduce this next speaker. I'm Ahana Samat, and I'm a volunteer with Mango. And today I'm introducing Janein Letford. Janein Letford is an award-winning educator, best-selling author, and speaker on the creative and financial literacies. As a TEDx speaker, she has inspired and led many to reconnect to their creative abilities in order to produce innovative ideas for the classroom and the workspace. She founded Alumni 360, a nonprofit that teaches financial literacy and entrepreneurship and creative thinking to dynamic youth from low wealth areas. She believes that creative thinking paired with financial education are critical skills and is often called America's creative coach for her work in reigniting creativity and financial agility in our youth and in our workforce. Thank you so much for being here, Janein. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. There I was, sitting on the floor, crying my eyes out with a $60,000 bill, student loan bill in one hand and an $8,000 credit card bill in the other. And I kept asking myself, how did I get here? But the pivotal moment was when I went over to my sister's house and I saw her and her husband, and they are both public service employees with modest incomes. And they were sitting under $250,000 worth of debt. And we looked at each other and said, what went wrong? And that's why I'm so glad to be here at this event that Mango is putting on, because how can you talk about eradicating poverty and helping people move up the social economic ladder if you don't discuss financial education? That moment in my life was a game changer. I read everything. Ryan mentioned it earlier. I read everything I could. I saw every YouTube video, and I remember finishing a book and I thought about, why am I a 30-year-old UCLA graduate and I don't have this basic information? And that's when I realized that if I was going to pay off $100,000 worth of debt as a teacher who is stuck in a salary scale, we don't get huge bonuses like other people in other fields do. You get what you get and you don't get upset, right? And I was like, okay, how can I pay off all this extra money and my salary isn't going to budge? And I turned and looked inside of me, and that's when I saw my diamonds. Yes, I saw my diamonds inside of me. And what I mean by that was I looked at my gifts, I looked at my abilities, I looked at my skills, I looked at my assets, and I view them from another perspective. And I realized that this whole time I was walking around with diamonds, and my husband and I, we paid off the debt in less than 5 years on a teacher's salary because of that pivotal moment. And that's why I lead with the phrase now, your creative health affects your financial wealth. What I mean by that is your ability to think creatively, your ability to create value and know how to move it effectively into the marketplace affects your well-being. And I've never really heard that before. And I was wondering, are other people aware of this concept? And in my research, the answer is like a profound no. As you guys all know, we are actually in an unprecedented era. What we're going through right now as a nation and as a whole world, we've never seen before. I certainly have never seen anything like this before. And even before this pandemic, creative thinking was still high on people's radar. World Economic Forum listed it as the #3 skill that will be needed in the workforce by 2020. We are halfway through 2020. And IBM they surveyed 1,600 CEOs, and the top trait was creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity. What does that look like? So now that we're in this pandemic and we've got to move through it, creativity is now essential, mandatory for our survival. And so as we move forward, I wanted to look at 3 issues that we needed to confront to empower you to know exactly what I'm talking about and why it's going to be so critical for your future. Okay, first of all, creativity has been misdefined. There's a lot of people who say, oh, I'm not creative because they can't sing like Mariah Carey, they can't dance like Justin Timberlake, what? You know, and so they can't paint like Van Gogh. So they're like, oh, I'm not creative, because we have confused creativity with artistry. So we have millions of people walking around saying that they're not creative because they are not excellent in the arts. So that's why I wanted to kind of redefine it for everyone moving forward. Creative thinking, creativity is the process of problem finding and problem solving with relevance, value, and novelty. Let me say that again. Creative thinking, creativity is the process of problem finding. Creative people know how to look for opportunities. They're sensitive to what's going on around them. And problem solving with relevance, value, and novelty. That needs to be our definition of creative thinking, of creativity moving forward. And though artistry isn't solely creativity, artistry and the arts are a great way to enhance your creative thinking skills. So number two, another issue we need to confront as we move forward is creativity is a huge abstract term for most folks. Now, I want you to physically raise your hand if this is you. Who employed dental care this morning? That's a fun way of saying who brushed their teeth, right? Hopefully that's everyone. Now let me ask you, who employed physical care this week? Basically, who worked out this week? Who ran? You did some push-ups, some weights, right? Now, who employed creative care this week? A lot of people don't know what that means. So think about that. The source of your ideas, the power of an idea, the source of your creativity in your job, in your life, in your family, in your relationships, the source of you producing new ideas, we don't work on at all. We take better care of our teeth and our body more than we do our ability to produce value in the marketplace. Now, I also wanted to look at the abstractness of that term, because it's my job now and my life's purpose now is to move that creative concept from the abstract to the practical. So you, all of you, my students, my young people just leaving college, my business people, my entrepreneurs, you actually have something that you can hook onto, because guess what? Creativity is a skill. That's right. And that's my number three. Creativity is a skill. Like typing, like learning how to ride a bike. The more you do it, the more it becomes a part of you. The more it becomes of how you think and how you operate through your spheres of influence. And my generation right now, you gotta increase that ability, because your spheres of influence, it's way different than it was when I was leaving college. So back to me crying on the carpet, having that epiphany that the way out of this debt was to really look at the diamonds inside of me, look at how I could organize them and reorganize them and make connections and look at ways to serve folks and look at my skills and my abilities in a whole new light. In fact, I even wrote a book about my journey and giving tips on how we got out of all this debt. And this itself is a creative value. I produced something from my ideas and now it's out there in the marketplace creating value. So this itself is an example of what that looks like. And so what I'm giving you and what I'm giving your generation is ways to increase your creative thinking and to understand that it involves your financial well-being and your life well-being. I want you to look at the 16 diamond tools for creative thinking that I developed. I'm going to go over a few now. And they're really for you to know that you can increase this skill within yourself. The first tool, and I'm not going to go over all of them, they're on my website at JanaineLetford.com. Just go there, get the PDF. I'm going to go over a few because of time. Number one is belief. Your ability to think creatively comes out of your belief systems and those structures that you've been building since you were born. So if you're one of the ones walking around saying you're not creative, guess what the brain does? shuts down any type of creative thinking. So we need to analyze your belief systems of what you even feel about your ability to create value where you are. The second diamond tool that I talk about in my trainings and in my workshops are sensory, your ability to sense. I call it paying attention pays off. As humans, we're already at a deficit. There's sounds we cannot hear. There's things we cannot see, like different types of waves. There's sounds animals can hear that we cannot hear. But we are intentionally lowering our ability to sense. We are missing so much because our eyes and our ears and our other senses aren't open. So training our sensory ability is key. Diamond tool number 3 is returning to your wonder years. Yes, as a child, you were highly creative. Children are expansive thinkers. They're curious. They ask tons of questions. Trust me, I have a 2-year-old here. Questions. But now that is your ace in your pocket. Your ability to be curious and to question. I look more at people who know how to ask profound questions than just at the person who gets you that one right answer. What is your ability to question effectively? Number 4, diamond tool number 4, I call it the framing the birds, the bears, and the bugs, meaning they could occupy the same space in the forest, but they have 3 different perspectives. So your ability to really shift perspectives, your ability to reframe situations is a key component in your creative thinking. Number 5, all the fields, emotional intelligence. You've heard it. It's big now within the past 5 years. Emotional intelligence, empathy. What does that look like? And that's a big place of where the arts can come in. The arts, music, dancing, that trains your ability to empathize with your customers, empathize with the people who you're trying to serve. I use the arts in my training to really heighten those skills in my classes. And number 7 and number 8 are making connections and looking for patterns. Because you're dealing with humans, when you go into whatever type of job or whatever type of entrepreneurial pursuit you have, dealing with humans, you have to be sensitive to patterns because people give clues. Data gives clues. And a lot of times those clues are in pattern form. And this is another area where the arts are critical for your training, is because music, all my musicians out there know, my dancers out there know, it's all about patterns, right? And so you training your ability to be sensitive to patterns, pattern forming, and pattern detection is going to increase your creative thinking ability. And so the last 2 that I just want to go over, and once again, they're all on my website at JeneinLetford.com, is synthesizing, bringing it all together. Okay, your ability to look at observations, to connect, to abstraction, to do all of the diamond tools, bringing it together. Those are the people who have those profound ideas, and money follows ideas. Opportunity follows ideas. Thin Mango was an idea in someone's head, Scott's head, and look at what it is today. Your ability to synthesize and have ideas is key. And so my last diamond tool that I'm going to talk about is creative courage. It doesn't matter how powerful your ideas are. If you don't show up, they benefit no one. And so I actually know that courage is a skill. You can train yourself to be more courageous and to present your ideas and to do the execution of your ideas. So as you continue to hear that, oh, businesses, we need more creativity, and oh, we want to be innovative, and all these buzzwords, and people really don't even know what they mean and the underlying essence of them. As you're heading out into the marketplace, understand that these foundational skills are needed for you to execute creative thinking. For me not to give you that foundation is like me sending you into calculus and trigonometry without confirming that you know how to add and subtract, right? And so knowing what creativity sits on and how the mind thinks is key. For instance, I'm friends, or I serve on the board of DonorsChoose.org, which is a great nonprofit that helps teachers get materials into their classroom. And Mitch Cohan wrote this book, called The Self-Made Billionaire Effect. You can find a link to it on my website as well. And he sat down with 20 billionaires. He didn't call them, he didn't Zoom them. He sat down face to face with 20 billionaires, and many of whom you probably have heard of. And what him and his co-author did was they were getting experiences from them and looking at threads of thinking and looking for patterns, right? That's a creative thinking skill. And they found 5 habits of mind, which I am so happy to report. Many of those habits of mind, all of them actually, are in the Diamond thinking tools, such as empathetic imagination. These billionaires, self-made billionaires, meaning they created value from nothing, they had imagination. Their imagination abilities were profound. As we get older, it shrinks because of cultural cultural issues, but they kept their imagination robust. Number 2, perspective, patient urgency. That's another habit that they found, their ability to have multiple perspectives. Number 3, action, inventive execution. When do you know when to move? Number 3, attitude, creativity with risk. They knew when to take risk. Number 5, leadership and partnership. One of my diamond tools that I didn't mention is diverse demographics. So we know that diversity of thought actually does enhance your creative thinking abilities. So if it's not about you being a billionaire. If that's your goal, hey, go for it. But it's about you knowing how to create value wherever you are. And in this climate, you need to know how to create value wherever you are. And the thinking skills of these people in this book correspond with the thinking skills that I found in all of my research, and I put in the diamond tools. So I just want to leave you with this thought, that you have diamonds. You've been carrying around these diamonds. If you think about a life of a true diamond, they've been in the earth for what, billions of years, just hanging out. And they've been beautiful, but they look like rocks. We didn't even know that they were there if you don't have the eye to spot them. Someone knew what they were looking for. They brought them up to the surface. They buffed them off. They cut them beautifully and then put them into the marketplace. And that's when resources were moved. You have diamonds within you. I want to introduce you to my main study partner. I'm studying him to make sure that you have the skills you need. You know that since you were his age, say hi.
Hi.
Since you were his age, you've been carrying these diamonds within you. And now it's your time to look at what you're capable of doing. And you're able to know how to bring them to the market. You're able to know how to assess them and to communicate the value of what you can do so well. Everything that you see me doing now, it was hidden deep inside of me long ago. So I just want to leave you with that empowering message that your diamonds aren't for you. Your diamonds are for me. Your diamonds are for your communities. Your diamonds are for your nation and for this world to help us solve the difficult problems that we now need to solve. And my last note is, wherever you go, I know that you will shine bright like a diamond. Let that be your theme song, and we'll be waiting to see you shine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Genein. This was such a great speech, and we have some great feedback from our participants as well. Jane says that her entire personal finance class read From Debt to Destiny, and it's an excellent resource. So thank